people say there can be two possibilities. Either there is no God and the rule of jungle is prevailing. So the rule of the jungle is survival of the fittest. In Hindi there is a saying, jiski lathi, usi ki bhains. When the rule of the jungle prevails, whoever owns the stick, the buffalo belongs to him. So either that is the rule of the world and that is why bad things are happening to good people, or else God is not really good. When we talk about bad things and good things, we have to understand this is in reference to a time frame. What is a good thing? What is a bad thing? Something that appears to be good in the short run turns out to be bad in the long run, and vice versa. There is a story that we used to hear. There was a Chinese farmer. One day, a wild horse ran into his farm. The neighboring farmer said, "What a good thing has happened to you. You've got a free horse." He said, "Good thing, bad thing, this God alone knows." A few days went by. The horse ran out of his farm back into the wild. The neighboring farmers came to commiserate. They said, "This is a very bad thing. You have lost your horse." He said, "Good thing, bad thing, who knows?" A few more days went by. The same wild horse brought 20 horses along with it, and they all came running into the field. Again, the neighbors came to congratulate the farmer. "You have got a lottery, you've got 20 free horses. This is the best thing that has happened to you." He said, "Best thing, worst thing, who knows?" A few more days went by. The farmer's son was riding one of the horses and fell off and fractured his leg. Again, in the evening, gathering people said, "This is a bad thing. If the horse had not come, this would not have happened." He said, "Well, bad thing, good thing, the future will tell." Now that country went into war with another country, and the king sent his soldiers to recruit all the youngsters in the countryside. All the youngsters, the children of the neighboring farmers, got recruited and got sent to the war front. This neighbor's son was left behind because he had fractured his leg. So what was a good thing? What was a bad thing? When the horse ran away from the field, it appeared to be a bad thing. But then he came back with 20 horses. When the farmer's son fell off the horse, it appeared to be a bad thing. But with a little more time perspective, it turned out to be a good thing. So when we talk about good things and bad things, what is the time frame that we are referring to? Let me tell you a very interesting story in this regard. There was once a boy who found in his garden on a plant a cocoon hanging. The boy became delighted. He said, "I will actually witness the butterfly emerging from this cocoon." So every day while going to the school and while coming back, he would observe the status of the cocoon. One day, sure enough, a dot had appeared. It happened to be a Saturday, Every 2 hours he would go and check, and the dot was becoming bigger and bigger. He was transfixed. Finally, the head of the butterfly emerged, and he was witnessing with his own eyes the miracle of nature taking place. The caterpillar had been transformed into a butterfly, and it was emerging from that cocoon, bursting through, shedding its shell. It came halfway through and then seemed to get stuck. No matter how much it tried, it was not able to extract its big stomach out of the hole. The cocoon was bobbing up and down, up and down. The boy felt pity on the butterfly. And as an act of kindness, he ran into his house. He picked up a pair of scissors and he slit the cocoon into two. The butterfly fell onto the ground. He thought it would be a few moments before the butterfly soared into the sky, but it was never to be. He saw that the wings of the butterfly were shriveled and the stomach was swollen. He thought very soon the stomach would shrink and the wings would fill up. But it was never going to happen. The boy had not realized that it was in the struggle of extracting itself from the cocoon that the pressure would have been applied onto the stomach, which would have forced the fluid into the wings of the butterfly. Without that struggle, the butterfly would remain handicapped for life. Similarly, we people desire to shed our difficulties. We look for someone who can cut our cocoon and release us from difficult circumstances without realizing it is in going through these difficult times that we fill our wings. It is God's way of preparing us for the flight ahead. It is these difficulties that ensure the unfoldment of the soul. And the saints who have realized this have said so. Swami Vivekananda, an Indian Swamiji who came to USA more than 100 years ago, he said, life is the continuous unfoldment of a being under circumstances tending to press it downwards. And we see this in the lives of great personalities. In USA, the example of Abraham Lincoln is often given. He grew up in very difficult circumstances, but it was those difficult circumstances that forged in him a great character that has inspired Americans for centuries after that. We also have the example of Thomas Alva Edison. I am told that he was terribly poor at one time, and he used to sell tea in the trains, and he was a little hard of hearing. So one day the ticket checker in the train got annoyed and whacked him on the ear. As a result, Edison became deaf for a couple of years. Later on, he was asked, "Do you have any regrets for that period of difficulty?" He said, "No. My external ears were closed, but my internal ears opened. And it was in those years that I progressed maximum." The progress being referred to is not progress in material prosperity, but the progress of the soul in its journey of evolution. And that progress often takes place much better in difficult circumstances. That is why I came across a very sweet and wise saying. It goes like this: I prayed to God for strength, and He gave me difficulties to overcome so that I may become strong. I prayed to God for wisdom, and He gave me problems to solve to make me wise. I prayed to God for prosperity, and He gave me brawn and brain to utilize and become prosperous. I prayed to God for courage, and He gave me dangers to surmount and become courageous. I prayed to God for love, and He gave me the needy to help and develop the quality of love. My prayers were answered. So when we talk about bad things happening, we have to understand many of these bad things are actually very good things.